The bonfire crackled, spitting embers into the May night sky, but Elias couldn't feel its warmth. His heart pounded as he watched Sophia laugh, her auburn curls catching the firelight, her arms slung around Noah, her boyfriend of 2 years. He told himself to look away, to bury the ache that had haunted him since the day he met her, but the whiskey in his hand had other plans. Elias Harper, 25, had known Sofia Delgado since their freshman year at Bowdoin College. She was the kind of person who could make a crowded room feel like home, her laughter a melody that lingered in your bones. Noah Brennan, also 25, had joined their orbit later, a charismatic environmental studies major with a smile that could charm a storm. The three of them had become inseparable late-night study sessions, road trips to Acadia National Park, and dreams of a future where their friendship would outlast everything. But tonight, at this beach house party in Brunswick, something felt off. The air was thick with salt and smoke, the party spilling onto the rocky shore. Elias downed another shot, the burn dulling the guilt that gnawed at him. He'd always loved Sophia, not just as a friend, but in a way that made his chest ache when she looked at Noah. He'd buried it deep, told himself it was wrong, that he was happy for them. But the alcohol was a traitor, loosening the chains on his heart. "Sophia, you're gonna fall," Noah called, catching her as she stumbled over a driftwood log, her laughter bright and unguarded. Elias watched, his grip tightening on his glass. Noah's hand lingered on her waist, and Elias felt a pang he couldn't name. Jealousy, yes, but also something else. Something that flickered when Noah's eyes met his earlier that night, warm and searching, before he'd looked away. The party blurred on, the music pounding, bodies swaying. Elias found himself on the porch, the world spinning, when Noah appeared, his blonde hair disheveled, his blue eyes catching the moonlight. "You good, man?" Noah asked, his voice low, concerned. Elias nodded, but his gaze drifted to Noah's lips, the curve of them, the way they parted slightly when he smiled. "I think I drank too much," Elias muttered, trying to laugh it off, but Noah stepped closer, his hand brushing Elias's arm. The touch was electric, and Elias froze. "You sure you're okay?" Noah's voice was softer now, almost intimate. Elias's heart raced. He should have walked away. He should have said no. But he didn't. Hours later, in the haze of too many drinks and too little restraint, Elias found himself in the guest bedroom, Noah's hands on his shoulders, their breaths mingling. It was a mistake, a reckless, desperate moment born of suppressed longing and liquid courage. They didn't speak, didn't name it, but when their lips met, it wasn't just Sophia that Elias betrayed. It was himself, Noah, and the fragile bond they'd all built. The next morning, Elias woke to the sound of waves and the weight of regret. Noah was gone, the bed cold. Downstairs, Sophia was making coffee, oblivious, her smile as bright as ever. But Elias saw the way Noah avoided his gaze, the way his hands shook as he poured cream into his mug. The secret hung between them, a ticking bomb. Sophia noticed the shift before she could name it. It was in the way Elias laughed a little too loud at her jokes, the way Noah's smiles didn't reach his eyes anymore. They were still the trio, Elias, Sophia, and Noah, planning hikes, sharing playlists, dreaming of opening a sustainable cafe together in Portland. But something was wrong, and it clawed at her. Sophia, 26, had always been the glue. Her parents, immigrants from the Dominican Republic, had taught her to hold tight to the people she loved, to build bridges where others saw walls. She'd met Elias first, his quiet intensity balancing her fire. Then Noah, with his easy charm and fierce passion for the environment, had completed them. She loved Noah deeply, but she'd always felt a pull toward Elias too, a connection she chalked up to their friendship's depth. Now, though, the air felt charged, like a storm was coming. It was a crisp October afternoon when the first crack appeared. They were at a local farmer's market, picking out apples for a pie Sophia swore she'd master. Elias was quieter than usual, his dark eyes darting between her and Noah. "You okay, Eli?" she asked, nudging him. He flinched, and her stomach twisted. "Yeah, just tired," he said, but his voice was tight. Noah, browsing a stall nearby, glanced over, his expression unreadable. Sophia felt a prickle of unease. That night, at their favorite dive bar, she watched them avoid each other's eyes, their usual banter replaced by stilted small talk. "Spill it," she said finally, slamming her beer down. "What's going on with you two?" Noah's jaw tightened, and Elias looked like he'd been slapped. "Nothing," Noah said too quickly. Elias stared at his drink, silent. Sophia's heart sank. She knew them too well, knew the way Elias's hands fidgeted when he was hiding something, the way Noah's shoulders stiffened when he was scared. The truth came out 2 weeks later, not in words, but in a moment. They were at Elias's apartment, planning a group Halloween costume, Sophia's idea, as always. Noah reached for a beer, and his hand brushed Elias's. It was brief, but Sophia saw it. The way Elias froze, the way Noah's breath hitched. Her world tilted. "Did something happen?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The room went still. Elias's eyes filled with tears, and Noah looked away, his face pale. "Sophia, Elias started, but she cut him off. "Tell me." And so Elias did. The beach house, the whiskey, the kiss that turned into more. Sophia listened, her heart breaking with every word. Noah didn't speak, didn't defend himself, just sat there, his guilt a silent confession. When Elias finished, Sophia stood, her hands shaking. "How could you?" she whispered, looking at Elias. Then to Noah. "And you, I trusted you." She left, the door slamming behind her. The trio was shattered. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain. Sophia stopped answering Elias's texts, ignored Noah's calls. She threw herself into work at the local bookstore, losing herself in novels where love didn't betray. But every quiet moment brought it back. The image of Elias and Noah, the sting of their secret. Elias was drowning in guilt. He'd always prided himself on his loyalty, his ability to be the friend Sophia could count on. Now he'd ruined everything. He saw her face in every corner of Brunswick, the coffee shop where they'd studied, the pier where they'd watched sunsets. He wanted to fix it, but how do you mend a heart you've broken? Noah, meanwhile, was unraveling. He'd loved Sophia, truly, but that night with Elias had stirred something he'd never faced. He'd always known he was attracted to men, but he'd buried it, convinced it didn't matter as long as he had Sophia. Now he was forced to confront it, not just his feelings for Elias, but the truth about himself. He came out to his parents, expecting support, but their cold silence cut deeper than he'd imagined. One night, Elias found himself at the pier, the same one where they'd shared so many memories. He wasn't surprised to see Sophia there, her silhouette framed against the ocean. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said, his voice breaking. Sophia turned, her eyes red. "Then why did you?" "I love you," he admitted, the words spilling out. "I've loved you for years, but I felt something for Noah too. I didn't know how to handle it. Sophia's breath caught. She'd suspected Elias's feelings for her, but hearing it was different. And Noah? She didn't know what to feel. You should have told me, she said. Both of you. They stood in silence, the waves filling the gap. For the first time, Sophia saw Elias not as her rock, but as someone just as lost as she was. Noah knew he couldn't hide anymore. He found Sophia at the bookstore, her arms crossed, her face guarded. I'm sorry, he said, his voice raw. I didn't know who I was. I still don't, not completely. But I know I hurt you, and I'll carry that forever. Sophia wanted to stay angry, but she saw the pain in his eyes, the same pain she'd seen in Elias. Did you love me? She asked. Yes, Noah said without hesitation. But I think I loved Elias too, and I was too scared to face it. The confession hit Sophia like a wave. She'd spent weeks blaming them, but now she saw the truth. They were all human, all flawed, all searching. She didn't forgive them, not yet, but she listened. Elias, meanwhile, was grappling with his own identity. He'd always thought his feelings for Sophia defined him, but that night with Noah had cracked something open. He started attending a local LGBTQ plus support group, nervous but desperate for clarity. There, he met others who'd faced similar crossroads, and their stories gave him courage. One evening, the three of them ended up at the same cafe, unplanned. The tension was palpable, but Sophia spoke first. I don't know if we can be friends again, she said. But I don't want to hate you, either of you. Noah nodded, tears in his eyes. Elias reached for her hand, then stopped himself. I'll do whatever it takes, he said, even if it means letting you go. Months passed, and the wounds began to scar. Sophia started therapy, learning to untangle her anger from her love for both men. She realized she'd been holding them to an impossible standard, expecting them to be perfect when she wasn't. She missed them, missed their laughter, their dreams, the way they'd made her feel whole. Noah came out publicly, finding a community that embraced him. He and Elias didn't speak much, but when they did, it was careful, respectful, like two people learning to walk again after a fall. Noah started volunteering at a local environmental nonprofit, channeling his energy into something bigger than himself. Elias, too, found purpose. He began writing, pouring his guilt and hope into poetry that he shared at open mic nights. One night, Sophia showed up, her presence a quiet olive branch. She clapped when he finished, and their eyes met, a flicker of the old connection sparking. The trio never fully rebuilt what they'd had, but they found something new. Sophia invited them to the pier one evening, the same place where it had all unraveled. I forgive you, she said, her voice steady. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because I want us to heal. Noah took her hand, and Elias joined them, the three of them standing together, watching the sunset. They weren't the same people they'd been, but they were learning who they could become. Together, apart, and everything in between. The ocean stretched before them, vast and forgiving, a reminder that love, even when it breaks, can lead to something stronger. They'd lost more than love that drunken night, but in its place, they found truth, resilience, and the courage to start again.